Hi everybody, welcome to my channel MoniVerse. So in this series of video, we are going to see about different CPU scheduling algorithms. So before getting into the algorithm, we should understand some key matrices which will be providing a way to the better understanding of how the CPU scheduling algorithm works. So now let us get into the video. So we should know what is CPU scheduling. So whatever task we are allocating to the computer will be put on to the ready queue. So ready queue is the place where the processes are waiting to be executed. So the CPU, it can execute only one process at a time. Okay. So now the CPU scheduling algorithms, what they will be doing is they will be deciding on which process to be entering into execution from the ready queue. And this process, how it has been chosen by the ready queue, either process 1 can be sent to CPU or process 2 can be sent to CPU. So what makes the decision? The CPU scheduling algorithms will be making out the decisions. Before entering into the CPU scheduling algorithms, we should know some key matrices which will be helping us to better understand the CPU scheduling algorithm. It may include arrival time, execution time, the thing repetition which is going on in the ready queue and in the processor. So arrival time is nothing but when we give a task to the computer, this task will be put on to the ready queue, which is waiting to be executed in the CPU, right? And this process will be repeated again and again until the computer is having or as being assigned a task. Then other key matrices will be including the arrival time. Arrival time is nothing but the time at which the task is entering into the ready queue. Burst time is how much time it will be executed in the processor, or and completion time is at which time it is being completed. The difference between the burst time and the completion time is completion time will be including time in the ready queue as a waiting time and also the burst time together. It will be at which time it is completed after being waiting in the queue and being executed in the processor. And it also includes some calculations such as turnaround time, waiting time, response time, and these all these three things will be calculated from the available matrices. That is a completion time, our arrival time, burst time, etc. So now let us get into what is arrival time. So let us consider the time as 4. So at this time, let us consider process is arriving. Let the process be process 3. So now we can represent that process three's arrival time is 3. Okay. Let us consider another one example. So we are considering this particular diagram as the processor and the time is 0, right? So now a process 1 enters into the ready queue. So now the arrival time of the process 1 is 0. Next, at time 3, another one process will be entering here, process 2. So now the arrival time of process 2 is 3. Next, the process 3 is arriving at the time 4. The time can be of any unit which is in the computer. So let us just keep the time as 0, 1, 2, 3 without specifying the unit, right? At this time, the process 3 has the arrival time of 4. Now let us learn what is a burst time or a CPU time. So here, let us consider this ready queue and the processor. this tabular column is indicating the arrival time and the burst time. So already we have seen what is an arrival time. The burst time is nothing but how much time the processor is to be inside the CPU for execution. So how much time it is going to be executed, right? So that is called as the burst time or CPU time. So as given in this table, process 1 is having 2 units of execution, process 2 is having 6 units of execution, and process 3 is having 4 units of execution. So now we are going to study about the waiting time, right? So let us consider the time as 4 and the process 1. So process 1's arrival time is 0, right? So by considering the time as 4, now what is the waiting time of process 1? So keep it in your mind that process 1 is not entering into the processor, but we have to calculate what is the waiting time of process 1, process 2 and process 3 at the time 4. So process 1 has arrived at 0 na. So 0. So 4 minus 0 is 4. So the waiting time of process 1 is 4, right? Now let us consider process 2. The arrival time of process 2 is 3. Now the time is 4, right? So now how we are going to calculate the waiting time? 4 minus 3. It is 1. So it has been waiting for 1 unit of time in the ready queue. Next, we can consider for process 3. Okay. So now we can consider for process 3. Process 3, the arrival time is 4. And now we are calculating the waiting time at the same time 4. So 4 minus 4, it is 0. So the waiting time of process 3 is 0. So waiting time is nothing but how much time process is waiting in the ready queue. So we are considering for time unit 4, right? We are not consider we have not put process into the process, but at time 4, what is the waiting time for process 1, 2 and 3 we have calculated. Hope you have understood what is waiting time also. So now we can see what is the response time. So now at time 4, we are considering the time as 4. So at this time, from this table, we can understand that process 3 has just now arrived at time 4, right? So now imagine that with some CPU algorithm, process 3 is going to enter the processor, right? So time is 4 and the processor is idle. So process 3 is going to enter. So now look onto this one. The arrival time of process 3 is 4. At the same time, it has been allocated to the processor. So the response time for the processor is 4, right? And the waiting time is 0. Because as soon as time 4 it is entering into the ready queue, it has gone into the processor for execution, right? So let us see another one example. So now let us consider another one example for response time. So imagine that the time is again 4, but here two processes are waiting. So process 1 and process 2 is waiting, right? So with some sort of algorithms we are using, this process 1 is going to enter into the processor. So now let us consider the arrival time of process 1 is 0. But it is entering into the processor. That is, the processor is responding to process 1 at time 4. So the response time of process 1 is 4. So now just we have to adding one more thing that we are learning waiting time in the next slide. So the process 1 has been waited for 4 unit of time for the processor, right? So that is considered as the waiting time. So let us briefly see how the waiting time for the process can be calculated. Now we can see another one example for response time. Now the time is 5
and the processor is being idle and now it is ready to be executed. So now the process 1 is going to enter. So at time 5, right? So now at time 5, it has taken into execution and it has arrived at time 0. So the waiting time, what generally we used to calculate the waiting time is response time minus the arrival time. So obviously response time is 5 and it has arrived at 0. So the waiting time is 5. Okay. Uh, so it is being executed here and we are calculating the waiting time. Okay. So completion time. What is completion time? So completion time is when the process is completely executed. The time at which the process is completely executed is called as the execution time. So now at 5, the processor 1 entered into the processor and we can see the burst time of the processor is 2 units, right? So it is executing in the 5th second and the execution happens at 5 and 6. And after the completion of 6th unit of time, it will be getting out of the processor. So the completion time of process P1 is 6. So now again at 6, the process 1 has been completed, but the process 2 and 3 are waiting there, right? So previously calculated time of waiting time of process P2 and P3 is 2 and 1. So now as 1 second is crossed, one more unit of time will be added to this 2 and 1, right? So now the waiting time of P2 and P3 will be becoming 3 and 2, right? So now completion time for P2. So at 7, process 2 will be entering into the processor, right? So now it is being executed. So as we see here, the process 2 is having the burst time of 6 units of time, right? So it will be going on executing from 7 to 12. It is 6 units. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So at this time it will be completed. So the completion time of T2 is 12. Now we can calculate the turnaround time for process P2. So as we have seen, the completion time of process P2 is 12, right? What is this turnaround time is? The turnaround time can be considered as the interval of time or the time gap between the arrival time to the completion time. So we all know the arrival time of process 2 is 3 and the completion time of process 2 what we have done is 12. So the time between in the sense we have to subtract it. So 12 minus 3. Answer is 9, right? So let us see how it is happening. So the completion time is 12, but it arrived at 3. So completion time minus arrival time. 12 minus 3 is equal to 9. So there is another one formula for calculating the turnaround time. There is nothing but the burst time and the waiting time. We have to add the burst time with the waiting time so that we will be getting the turnaround time. That is here the burst time for process 2 is 6, right? And the turnaround time is, sorry, and the waiting time is 3. So adding together 6 plus 3, we get the same value as 9. Okay. So thank you. With the next video, we'll be meeting up uh, for discussing about the first come, first serve CPU scheduling algorithm. Thanks for watching my channel. Please be in touch to learn Thank you.